going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Profit Playbook DFS. I'm Jaime Hernandez here. Today we have a breakdown of my top favorite plays for college football week 12 main slate on DraftKings. This time I only have select quarterbacks and running backs and a few wide receivers. Not it's not going to be a long video, but before we get into that, please go ahead and comment on this video. And if you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. I truly appreciate the love. It does help me out a lot here. So far, out of the 11 weeks that played so far, we have 9 weeks that we've won and 2 weeks that we haven't. One of those weeks was week 9, which we bounced back big on week 10. And then last week, week 11, there was no news about Carnell Tate being injured, and the lineup that I played, I had Carnell Tate there. Everyone else went off, but this time I only played cash games, so it was a little bit more tight, and Carnell Tate, I missed cashing by 9 points, and if Carnell Tate would have had just an average game, we would have cashed 100%. But clearly, he didn't play, and the news of that he was injured and ruled out didn't come until the game had already been kicked off, right? It already had kicked off, so that didn't help at all. It was frustrating to watch, but it is what it is. That's college football for you, it's fun, right? So, anyways, let's go ahead and bounce back. Let's get into week 12. This week I'm spending up at quarterback. I don't like much in the value range, so these are the only quarterbacks I'm trusting, and there's only 3 of those there. So for sure, 2 of those will be on my lineup. To start off, we're gonna go ahead and go with Taylen Green here out of Arkansas, a 9,000 on the salary. Arkansas, they come into this game a 6.5-point road underdog with a 25-point implied team total versus LSU. And yes, LSU's been solid against the pass, right? Allowing about 215 passing yards per game. But, it seems like they can't tackle, right? And that's great when it comes to someone like Green, where he loves to run the ball, right? And that's exactly what we need. And even though he's the most expensive quarterback there, he is averaging about 31.2 DraftKings points per game, right? And of course, this matchup is just perfect for him to take off and give us a pretty damn good score there with his legs, right? Definitely one of my favorite plays on the slate, no matter the position, even if his price tag is a little bit high up there. And second, his price tag finally caught up to his performances. That is Brandon Sorsby. And even then, I am not fading him. I love Sorsby here. Since he is a 6-point home favorite with 31 implied team total points against Arizona, right? And yes, Arizona's been pretty good against the pass, only allowing about 172 yards per game. But one thing that they don't do is they don't rush the quarterback that well, right? The pressure is not there, which definitely helps someone like Sorsby, right? He's had a great season so far. As you can see, there are 20 passing touchdowns to only 2 interceptions, 453 yards rushing. And as you can see, his rushing touchdowns there, right? That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rushing touchdowns. He's a dual threat ability guy. It's undeniable. His dual threat ability is undeniable, right? And he's just always in a position that you can count on that he's going to continue to produce. This week is no different here. So that's why I love Sorsby. And, and I will love Mayava here, but it's raining down hard here in SoCal. And the worst day is going to be tomorrow, Saturday, and which is going to rain on USC's homecoming versus Iowa. So I will be passing on my Iowa. So let's go to my last but not least. We're going to go to, where's this guy here? We're going to go to Miami for Carson Beck at 7,700. Miami is a 14.5-point home favorite with a 35-point implied team total versus NC State. NC State has been amazing in the pass defense. If you're playing him, of course. They've been literally the worst team defending the pass there. They're just garbage against the pass, allowing about 314 passing yards per game, right? And yes, Beck, he struggled with turnovers, as you can see there, 9 interceptions, right? But this matchup is literally as good as it gets, right? He has plenty of weapons to stack with, and Miami's run game, they couldn't really get anything going versus Syracuse, which tells you with the matchup, they're going to lean heavily on Carson Beck. He's a great play, and I love him here. I'm expecting somewhere on the floor of like 25 fantasy points, like he did on October 4th, and a ceiling of 35 plus points there. And yeah, that's my value play at quarterback, if you want to call it value, because they're so expensive. But I don't like anyone else here on this slate. Like I said, Maeva from USC. I mean, it's raining, so I'm gonna pass on him. But these are the three guys that I love for this week. Comment down below, who's your favorite quarterback play this week? And let's go ahead and get to the running backs. Right, when it comes to these running backs here, you know, Jeremiah Love, he's always a great play. As you can see, his fantasy points per game there. I mean, if I find a way to get him in with spending up at quarterback, then I might. But let's go ahead and go with, to start off with Malik Brown out of ASU, right? Yes, for the what 1, 2, 3, 4 straight weeks, he's had some mediocre games, right? But ASU is a 10.5 point home favorite with a 29 point team total against West Virginia, and West Virginia is mid tier versus the run, right? They're giving up about 150 plus rushing yards per game, and yes, he hasn't had a great games, but they've been playing against some pretty good run defenses there. So when it comes to Malik Brown, he's getting the middle of the pack defense. So I love him in this game, right? Due to PPR purposes, and he should break a few big runs here. I love Malik Brown here versus West Virginia, and then second, we're gonna go with Jordan Marshall, Michigan, right? When it comes to Jordan Marshall, as soon as he took over the starting spot, he did really well, right? He had 9.4 fantasy points versus USC, and of course that was in just like the second half that he took over, and then as a full time starter, 27, 20, and 43 fantasy points there for Michigan, right? And Michigan is an 11.5 point road favorite with a 26 point implied team total versus Northwestern. Another middle of the pack against a run team here in Northwestern, allowing 152 rushing yards per game. Marshall clearly has been an explosive RB1, and here versus what is it, Northwestern, I'm expecting at least 20 opportunities there, whether they're through the air or on the ground. Definitely one of the safest running backs in my opinion, especially at 7,100 there. And then let's go for, I definitely have a value guy for you guys here, and that's Ruben Owens out of Texas A&M, right? Texas A&M, 18.5 point home favorite with about 34 implied team total versus South Carolina. And South Carolina, they've struggled big time stopping the run. 165 yards allowed per game. And then Owens, he's averaging 15 plus carries slash targets per game over his last 5 contests, and he's definitely the clear RB1 after Moss went down. Right, the price is perfect. The matchup, I would say, it's a pretty damn good matchup, and of course the game script. Everything points his way. Best running back value on the slate. My favorite play this week, regardless of position. And someone else that you can target would be, let's see, Shepard, right? He's been pretty decent. He's been good, but at 8,000, I think I'm gonna be passing on him. But if you feel like Duke is gonna explode versus UVA, then he's a great play, to go away from the heavy passing team. That high ownership that the passing attack is going to generate. And then let's go to our wide receivers here. We're gonna go ahead and start with let's see here. We can go ahead and start with Malachi Tony, right? If you want to go ahead and stack him up with Carson Beck, right? He's averaging almost 8 targets per game, a little bit over 6 receptions per game, and 72 yards per game receiving, right? You know, definitely has, like I mentioned, he's going up against the best possible team that he can go up against. NC State, like I mentioned, are trash against the pass. So, definitely great play, high volume WR1, in my opinion, with Tony there. We can also go with Cooper Barkate. We've been on him, right? We've been on him since Syracuse. And yes, last week it was a dud versus UConn. I called this game. They're going to go off. They were going to go off, and they did. But it was on the ground with Shepard. But this week, I believe Cooper Barkate definitely bounces back, right? He's Duke's unquestioned WR1, and the numbers definitely prove it. 8+ targets per game, about 6 receptions per game, 92 yards receiving per game, right? Yes, he has only 5 touchdowns, but he should get a lot of targets this week. I love Cooper Barkate once again. And then let's go with, let's see here, with Omega Blake out of Arkansas. So you can go ahead and stack him up with Green, right? And go ahead and stack him up with Taylen Green there. He's been lights out as well, over 8 targets per game, 5.5 receptions per game, 73 yards receiving, right? Usage is elite. Yes, his total yards recently, they haven't been as great. Well, I mean, more like last game, right? But if he's going to be, basically, they're going to be playing from behind. It's a great stack if we're going to be playing Green, right? So I do love myself some Omega Blake this week. And then for the last stacking option, we're going to go with Cyrus Allen from Cincy to stack him up with Brandon Sorsby here. This guy, he's been averaging about 5 targets per game, a little bit under 4 receptions, right, and 55 yards receiving. But he's already scored 10 touchdowns this season. So he's a big-time red zone usage, right? It's cheap, efficient, touchdown upside, and a strong mid-range play at 5,600. My value play of the week at wide receiver is Allen. And another guy that we're going to target that he's a value is going to be maybe actually 2 value plays of the week is going to be if he plays Mario Craver. As you can see there, he's questionable and will be a game time decision. So, if you're thinking of playing Mario Craver, definitely check X for some notifications, for some updates there. But his price tag is pretty damn good if you're playing, a Texas A&M stack, I would say, with Marcel Reed, right? But Mario Craver, he's a pretty decent play if he plays, right? And if you still want to play someone from Texas A&M, you can go with Concepcion, and especially if Craver is out, Concepcion would be a pretty damn good play. But that's really it there, when it comes to my picks, right? My favorite plays, stacking options. I mean, if you're going to play one of those quarterbacks, then you can go with Green, right? You can go ahead and go with Taylen Green. Then, of course, I'm sure, you're going to want Omega Blake there. If you want to save up a little bit of cash, then you can go ahead and target Carson Beck pair him up with Tony, right? You can go with running back. You can go ahead and play, let's see, Owens, right? A wide receiver. I mean, it's going to cut it close. You're going to have to do your own research there and get some guys that I did not mention, right? Because the price tags are wild, right? Or if you wanted to save a little bit on Green, you can say 200. It'll bring your average remaining per player left at 4,900. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at this week. And that's all I have for you guys. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in and stay profitable. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe.